Hi, welcome back to printmaking. Last time you spent some time creating your printmaking plates. Those are those foam pieces, and you could choose whatever you wanted. So today you're going to have a clean space with a brayer, that's that rolly thingy, and then you're also going to have an inking plate with a brayer. And you want to try to keep those two spaces separate as much as possible. You'll also have that paper that you prepped, and it'll indicate what color your paper is, what color your ink is going to be, and then of course your last step, which is the pattern. So for this one, it said that I was going to do my ink in yellow. So I'm going to put my brayer and my red paper in the center in that clean space. And on the left, you'll notice that I have my printing plate. Now, sometimes the ink separates a little bit in storage, so I've noticed there's a little bit of oil on the top, and I'm just going to go ahead and mix that in order to get the oil back into the ink. Now, I don't want you guys to add any extra ink. I will do it for you, but you have to make sure that you're being a good listener when you do this printing, because there's going to be a very specific sound. It should sound really sticky when you roll that brayer, and that's actually good. You want that good sound. If it sounds not sticky, then it's pretty well dried out at that point and you need more ink. So just kind of let me know. When you roll the brayer, you want to make sure that you get the ink all the way around the roller. So that way it's nice and even. You don't want to have like some bald patches and some areas that have a ton of ink. And then I'm just going to roll that over my printing plate. In this case, it's Tigger. And if I roll off, that's no big deal, because that's one of those dirty spaces. I'm not trying to keep that super clean around the outsides, but it is something where before the next person uses it, you might want to get rid of that black sheet of paper and get a new one. And that paper isn't necessarily black, it's just scrap paper. So now what I'm going to do with Tigger, now that I have him all nice and even, I've got my ink all over him as neatly as possible, I'm going to flip him over and make him as even as I can. And I kind of messed up a little bit. So this is where printmaking is nice, because if I decide that I do not want to keep this print, I can just make another one. Simple as that. So you can, if you want to push to create that print, you can use that clean brayer. Some people just prefer to use their hands. You can use your hands as well. Both will get a decent print as long as you're pushing firmly and making sure that you get that ink put onto that next paper. You should be fine. And once you feel like it's firmly on there, all you have to do is just peel her right off, and then you have a nice decent print. Now, I'm not super happy with that because Tigger's nose was kind of too close to the edge, so I'm just going to go ahead and create another print, and all I have to do is add a little bit of that extra ink, because every time you print, you're going to take some of that ink off. So I'm going to go ahead, create that print again, make sure it's nice and even. Now each time you do this, you want to make sure that you give it a nice firm back massage, as I like to call it, so that way the ink will go on your paper evenly. You should be able to see that line work because of that indentation. And something I want you to notice is that before I'm printing my next color, I actually washed and dried my printing plate. So you'll see that Tigger there is nice and clean and dry. You might get a little bit of the previous color of ink in some of those indentations, and that's perfectly fine. If you can't get them out, just get it as clean as you possibly can, because as you print, that printer's ink, when you put it on the plate, it should go over all of those little indentations you made with the pen. So you'll still be able to see that bit of line work that you created. And this time I chose purple as my ink, and I'm going to go ahead and put that on my green paper, and again give it that nice firm back massage. This is pretty much a repeating process until you have all 4 of those pieces of paper that you need. Now, just as a quick reminder, I just created the primary color set. So basically the paper was red, Tigger was yellow, and I'm going to do the pattern is blue. So I've got those primary colors. The second one was all secondary colors, which are going to be violet, orange, and green. And this one I decided to give it my own twist. I'm going to do a little bit of a monochromatic set, which means pink on pink on pink. And that can be done with any color. So you can do blue on blue on blue. It's however you want to do it. The way I'm going to set this up for you guys is stations. So the first day I will probably have the primary colors out, so that way you can ink in those primary colors, possibly one other station. But keep in mind I may not have every color you need out the first day. So if that's the case, just go ahead and wait until the next day. We'll pull those out, and of course we will have a finish up day where you'll have the opportunity to print with any color that you haven't yet. Something that I'm going to request that you do not do is to try and do your patterns in drawing the same day that you printed, because the printer's ink needs time to dry. So if you printed on this paper that first day, just set it off to the side and let it dry for a day. Now, once you're done with the prints, you're going to add pattern. Try to have them all be different patterns. You could have them all be the same pattern, but you're going to use paint markers. Now use a scrap paper to get it started. Sometimes keep in mind that coloring in or coloring faster does not make it look better. In fact, a lot of times it makes it worse. If you press too hard with these markers, they have a tendency to essentially splash out entirely too much ink. So do not pound them on the table. So don't try to shake them 10,000 times. So just a couple of shakes, get her running. If it doesn't end up working after that, let me know and I'll give it a try. So you do have to make sure that you put the caps on these. These will dry out if you do not leave the cap on them. So for this particular one, you can see I actually ended up pushing just a pinch too hard on his eyebrows there. I ended up with a little bit of a bubble that I didn't like there, but at the same time, I'm going to go ahead and leave that. You do not have to outline your print each time. That was just a design choice that I did for my first one, but keep in mind I kept those primary colors. So that first drawing is yellow, red, and blue. And this one's going to be my secondary colors, which are going to be orange and purple and green. So I just kind of chose a polka dot for the background, and I just did his eyes, and I kind of like leaving the line work in green. And so just make sure that you are respectful with those marker pens. I will have some idea sheets available for you if you need ideas for your patterns in the background. Just remember, do not color the whole thing in with those paint markers. So I do want to see patterns. So how you make them is up to you. You can come up with your own ideas, or you can use the idea sheets that I provide for you. Keep in mind, one paint pen marker color per paper.